This is Gemara and Eruvin Daf Samoch Hey. All the learning should be a schos for Shlema for you. Demir ben Yikar Kira Menu of Beit Lamon Chanita Chaim and Search of Sibun Yizad Look as Gimel Basiv Chai Sarah who's of Chaim and Sarasi who's still in the middle of the President Shalei Shalom Basami B'Shavim Shulchan Faldam Tiriba Tanil ben Chan Rizal Chaim Nachum middle of Shmarios B'Chaim and Pesh Miriam B'Sosha Chali Yisrael as well as a schosi Neshama for Shoshana Bas Yichaved the Neshama should have an Aliyah. We pick it up from the bottom of Samach Talon Mabeis. We're in the middle of discussing that different types of bread, they used to have a witchcraft, sorcery, kishuf, that was cast upon the bread. And therefore we said that if you see the bread on the floor, even though there's the concept of bizui eichlin, that you shouldn't leave bread lying on the floor. However, if it's certain type of bread, then you do leave it because it might be full of this witchcraft, this kishuf. Says the Gemara just concluded 3 lines down. We finished off yesterday that shleimin ma'avirin ptitin ein ma'avirin, that the big pieces, those are the ones that potentially can be full of kishuf, so you should pass those by. But the ptitim, the pieces of bread, ein ma'avirin, you should not pass them by, rather you should pick them up because there's no witchcraft, there's no kishuf on the pieces of bread. Amalei Rav Asi to Rav Ashi. So Rav Asi comes along and he says to Rav Ashi, V'apetitin loy avdin, 2 lines at the bottom, samachtalim abeis. The petitin loy avdin, they did not cast the kishuf on them. V'ksiv, we saw in a pasuk, v'tchaleno oisi, that the pasuk says, and you desecrated me el ami before my nation b'sha'alei se'oirim, with handfuls of barley, b'toichei lechem, and pieces of bread. So what do we see? We see that in conjunction with petuchei lechem, the pieces of bread were in conjunction with kishuf. So asks the Gemara, asks Rav Asi to Rav Ashi, seemingly we see that even on pieces there could be kishuf on it. Says the Gemara, incorrect. The shakti ba'agrayu, that what the pasuk means, the pasuk doesn't mean that they actually performed kishuf on these pieces of bread. Rather, it means that they accepted that the people who used to perform the kishuf would accept this bread as payment, but not that the actual was cast the spell on the bread itself. Amar Rav Ashi, Amar Rav Sheshis, Mishom, Rav Elazar ben Azariah, moving along to Samachayim and Aleph. Yochel ani lifters kolelam kulay min adin. I could pater the entire world min adin from judgment. This is going back to what we discussed yesterday, the concept that one cannot daven drunk, that one is pater from davening when drunk. So says the Gemara, I could pater the entire world from judgment. The Beis Hamikdash was destroyed until now. Why? Shneimar, the pasuk says, "L'chein shimu na, l'chein shimi na zois aniyavs u'shechuras v'loy miyayin." Therefore, shimi na, listen now, zois aniyah u'shechuras, those who are drunk, v'loy miyayin, but they're not drunk from wine. What are they drunk from? They're drunk from yisurin. They're drunk from all the hardships. So it says the Gemara, I can pater everyone. Why? Because they're drunk. And we saw a moment ago, we saw yesterday, the one who is drunk is pater from davening. Similarly, you want to say I can pater him from everything. Says the Gemara, 1 second. We only said that if you're drunk, you can't daven. But everything else, seemingly, you have to do when you're drunk. Meisvei asked the Gemara a very important question. Shikr, one who is drunk, intoxicated, if he makes a sale, it's a good sale. If he sells something, buys something, sells something. Very important to remember. Sometimes people say, I was drunk. Says the Gemara, this is Paskin La'alacha, that if someone doesn't have hair when he's drunk, if he's chayiv misa, we kill him. Malkus, Malkin, I say. If he's chayiv Malkus, give him Malkus. It's Kololi Shaldavar. What's the rule? Hareyu kibikeach l'chol dvarav. Someone, even though he is shikr, even though he is drunk, he is chayiv. All his actions are actions 100%. Ella, there's one thing. Shapater minat tefillah. As we saw, you can't stand in front of the king. We saw you can't converse with the king. So you're pater from tefillah. However, everything else, you are 100% chayivin. So ask the Gemara, what do you mean, Yachol, that you could pater the whole world, you could exempt the whole world from punishment? Even if they're considered drunk from not wine, drunk from tribulations and yisurim, but what are you talking about? We see that you're chayiv in everything. Answers the Gemara, that which I said that I could pater the whole world, I didn't mean from everything. Nami mi din tefillah, I meant from all the issues of tefillah all the time that one davens. It does not have kavana. For that I could pater him to saying he was drunk, he didn't have to daven in the first place. Amar Rav Chanina, lo yishanu el shaligia shechrasei shalhait. This is only if someone does not reach the incredible level of drunkenness, the drunkenness of light, which we know what level of drunkenness is that. That light slept with his daughters. That's the level of drunkenness, completely 100% drunk. Then potter mikulam, he's potter from everything. And this is the rule which we always remind everyone before Purim time, that you can't daven, but everything else you do, you're 100% chayiv in. And they say, no one has ever written away his life savings when he's drunk. Why not? The reason is because you are cognizant at some level, and that's what we see over here, that even though he is drunk, his sales are sales. If he doesn't have Heira, he's chayiv. Therefore, one obviously has to be extremely careful, unless he reaches the level of Shikra Shalit, which is an extremely high level of intoxication. Generally, the Paiskim take on that it's not such a common level for one to reach. As we see, what happened to light is not such a common thing. Says the Gemara, 2 dots about 10 lines into Samachem and Alf. Amar Rav Chanina, Kol HaMapik, mugging. Anyone who is mapik, literally he passes by, mugging, referring to the first bracha of Shemoneh Esrei, referring to davening, B'shas Gaiva, at a time of Gaiva, which we're referring to right now, referring to Tefillah, referring to that if he doesn't daven when he is drunk, Soigrin v'choismin sarais ba'adai. You know what's going to happen? All the troubles are going to be sealed, and he's not going to get anything. So now we see the flip side. We see the incredible mail, the incredible reward that one will get for not davening when he is intoxicated. It says the Gemara, he will not have any tzaris. Shenamar, as we learn from the pasuk, Gava afike maginim. The Gava, which refers to one who is drunk, afike maginim, who he doesn't daven, sagar chaysam tsar, that it's going to be sagar, it's going to be closed off, all troubles. He's not going to have any tzaris. My mashma the hay apik lishadavuru, says the Gemara. How do you know that apiki, this word apik, means that he passes by, that he doesn't daven? Says the Gemara, the Chsev, a different pasuk teaches us, Achi, my brother, Achai, Bogdu k'may nachal, that they betrayed me like a nachal, like a stream, ka'apik nacholam ya'avayru, like the movement of the stream that has passed by. And that's what we see, that ya'avayru is used in conjunction with the word afike, meaning that it passed by. So we see if someone is drunk and he doesn't daven, he gets a wonderful reward that he won't have any tzaris. Rav Yochanan Amar, a little bit of a different way of learning up this pasuk, kol she'enoi mapik. Anyone who does not mapik, and he learns the word mapik, meaning to express, to daven, to say words of tefillah. Itmar, that is the correct way of learning. My mashma, where do we see this from? That mapik lashes the gluyu. That now the word mapik is referred to of the gluyi, revealing of saying words of davening. The pasuk says, "Ve'yiru afike mayim, ve'yirau afike mayim," and the water became visible. Ve'yigalu, and it became revealed. Ma'istais tevel, the foundations of the world, and therefore from this pasuk we say that the word afike doesn't mean to pass by, but rather the opposite. It means to daven. It means not afike, meaning not to daven. The same type of result that if one does not daven when he's drunk, he's also going to get this reward. Mechti says Gemara, Kuroi mashma, bein lamar. Okay, each one of you had a way of learning of the pasuk. My benayu, what's the difference which way you learn it? Says the Gemara, Rav Sheshes Masar Shinasid L'Shamei, because Rav Sheshes gave over his sleep, meaning he told his Shamish to wake him up. He was drunk and he went to sleep. He told the Shamish to wake him up. Mar Isli to Rav Sheshes, Mar Leslie to Rav Sheshes, which is a different level of drunkenness. Is if someone could wake up on their own and then go and daven. That's one level of drunkenness. That's the revealing that you're able to say the words. And then the next level is that you need to have someone who's going to wake you up. Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi, Amar Rav Kol She'in Daitem Yushavas Alav Al Yispalel. Now we see further. We just saw you don't daven when you're drunk. Now says Rav Chia bar Ashi, if your mind is not settled, if it's not clear, you shouldn't daven, you can't concentrate. Shenemar, Misham Shenemar, Bitzar Al Yeira. Batzar, when you are in Tsar Al Yeira, you should not paskin, you should not make decisions. Similarly, you shouldn't daven. Rav Chanina b'yema derasaf. Rav Chanina, when it was a day that he got angry, loy matzli, he didn't daven. Amar, he would say, Batzar al Yaira, that Batzar, when one is in Tsar al Yaira, he should not paskin. Similarly, he should not daven. Again, we see the importance of having a clear mind, but of course, we also know that if the situation, Batzar al Yaira, I'm sorry. But of course, we also know that if this is going to cause someone to never daven, similarly, we know the halacha is that really if someone doesn't have concentration during the first bracha, he says Shemoneh Esrei again, but the place can speak out. We're just going to always be davening because we're never going to have kavana. So we have to try to hedge our bets and do as much as we can. Says the Gemara, Mar Ukva b'yom deshuta, Mar Ukva on a day of the south wind, and a day again he wasn't as clear. Law of enough of the Beidina, he wouldn't go to Bezdin to Baskin because his brain wasn't clear. The halacha is that you need to have clarity, like the day of Istana, like the day of the northern wind. Amr Abaye comes like Abaye, Yamr li'eim, Karev Kochsa, Loitanai. Said Abaye, even a lower level, that if my mother said to pass her some kudach, if I was given any sort of menial errand, says Abaye, that already started frazzling my brain a little bit, and then I would not learn. Amar Rava, Yikarsan and Kina, that if there was a lice on my clothing, Loitanai, I wasn't able to learn properly. Mar Braid Ravina Avdalei Ima Zayin Mine Zayin Yomi. His mother made him 7 types of shirts for 7 days in order to keep the free clothing lice clean, so he would have the appropriate concentration. And we see how difficult it is to concentrate and how much we have to work on ensuring appropriate and constant concentration when learning. Amar Rav Yehuda Lo Ivri Laila El Shinasei. So the Gemara continues. Now, what is the best time to learn? Says the Gemara, you know what the nighttime are for? For sleeping. Amar Rav Shimon Lakish, no. Lo Ivri Siara El Girsa. It's not true. The moon was created for Torah study, for learning. We're sitting here at nighttime. We should be learning. Amar Leila Rav Zera Mechadin Shemaitzach. You're very sharp. Amar Lahu Diamama Ninu. You know I am very sharp because it's learned during the day. Again, always a machlekes, a famous Rambam about when to learn. But generally, we come out that one should try to do whatever works for him. Amar Leila Brate Le Rav Chisda Loiba Imar Minam Porta. Do you not need to sleep a little bit? You look very tired. Amar La Hashta Siyemida Richa Uketini V'Nenim Tuva. He said the day's going to come. Soon I'm going to be die. Hashta Asu Yemi. The day's going to come. That Richa V'Ketina. That's very long. And I'm not going to have so much time. V'Nenim Tuva. There's going to be a lot of time to sleep. I got to learn now. Amar Nachman Yitzchak Anan Pola Diamama Anan. We are like daytime workers. Bachbar Yaakov Yosef Upara would borrow and pay back, which the Mefarshim speak out means that he would try to steal a few minutes when he'd be able to learn. And then if he had to work, he would pay back at nighttime and sit and learn. Someone comes from the road back to Tefillah. You come from the road, you're all frazzled, you're all tired, your brain's not clear, don't down for 3 days. Shnemar, as the Pasuk says, that I gathered by the river, Haba el Ahava, or Achava, which is the name of the place which comes to Achava, V'nechana, Sham Yamim Shleisha Vavina Pam. We rested 3 days, and then we started looking into the matter of a Gaimer, seeing that it takes 3 days for the brain to clear up. When he would come in the nighttime, he would not daven for 3 days. It was like Kiasi Bu'urcha, not Bu'urta. Sorry, I read that incorrectly. Bu'urcha, when he came from the road, he would not daven for 3 days. He would not daven in a house that had beer, because the little smell of the beer, even the fumes, would intoxicate him to some level that he said he couldn't daven. He wouldn't even daven in a house that had fried fish. Also would ruin his concentration. If anyone is angry, if anyone is uptight, and what does he do? He drinks wine and is able to calm down from the wine. He has one of the midas, one of the attributes of his creator, of Hashem. Shneimar, as the Pasuk says, V'yarach Hashem, as reach and icharach v'gaimer, kaviyachal, that Hashem smells the ketayres and is kaviyachal calmed down. So too, if someone could drink some wine and calm down, he attains that same level. Amar Avchia kol misyashev v'yenoi, yesh v'das ayin zekenim, if he's misyashev, if he's settled after drinking wine, he has the knowledge of the shivin zekenim. Yayin nitin by ayin oisiyais, as we see that the yayin is the numerical value. Yod is 10, and Nun is 50. Is the ayin oisis, the soid, and the word soid, secrets. In nitin by ayin oisis, again, the samach of 60, 6 and 4 of the word side is the same 70. From there we see nichlas yayin, yatza side. The wine comes in, out comes the side, out comes all the secrets. Another quality of wine, what was wine created for, says Rachanin, to comfort someone, lenachem avelim, to comfort the avelim, shenamar u'lishalim schar l'rishayim, and to give up schar for the Rishayim Shtemar, the pasuk says, "Nushecher l'Oived," gave a wine to the one who to the Rasha, and they let him get his char. Amar Rav Chana bar Papa Koshein Yayin Nishvach was like, if wine is not poured out in abundance in his house, or it means that when wine spills, you don't get upset. Kemayim I'm sorry, please say kemayim, like water just flies everywhere. Eino b'chal bracha, he doesn't have any bracha. Shneimar ubarich es lachla b'steimecha, should bless your bread into your water. Ma'alechav shnikach b'kesev meiser. So to the water which is bought with the money of Meiser, and of course water cannot be bought with Meiser. Ma'niu yayin refers to yayin, but karle mayim. So why does it call it water if it's talking about wine? Says the Gemara, moving on to Samachem and Beis. If the wine flows in your house like water, ika bracha, your house has blessing. The house is not a blessing. Three things a person is recognized, a person is judged. Some say b'kaisei with his cup of wine, b'kaisei with his wallet, or b'kaisei when he gets angry, with he laughs, does he laugh appropriately or incorrectly? And again, the two pshatim that we spoke out is either the wine flows freely like water, meaning he has so much money he doesn't mind when the wine spills, or it means that when the wine spills he doesn't get upset. A very important midah. Says the Gemara 4 lines down, some Mechayim beats. Amar Rabbi Yudah Rav. Yisrael v'nachri b'pnimiyes v'Yisrael b'chitzayna. Okay, back to Erev Chatzeros, back to Shita Mevayis. We've seen many times. In order to make an Erev, everyone has to be partners over here. So what happens? Says Rabbi Yudah Rav, we have a new case. Yisrael v'nachri b'pnimis. We have an inside courtyard and we have an outside courtyard. Of course, you have to walk to get out through the outside courtyard. So in the inside courtyard, what do you have? A Jew and a guy. One Jew, one guy. The outside courtyard, what do you have? One Jew. And he said they're not able to make an Erev, and they're not allowed to carry. But the same thing. Yosef, Rabba, Rav Yosef, Shili, Pirka, the Rav Shishis, they're sitting by Rav Shishis, Yosef, Rav Shishis, the Kamar. According to whom did Rav say he's teaching? To Rameir. He's saying this according to the opinion of Rameir, who we've seen, holds that whenever you have a desire, whenever you have a guy, then if there's a guy and one Jew, Rameir held that the Jew is not allowed to carry. Remember, we had a machlekes. Rameir held one guy and one Jew. The other opinion held two Jews. It was dependent upon whether Jews will live with a guy or if they're going to be afraid the guy's going to kill them. Rameir said one will do it, and therefore there is a gezerah even in such a case. And therefore, in this case, we see one Jew, one guy in the inside courtyard, and we see you're not allowed to carry. Seemingly, it's like Rameir. Says the Gemara, Karkish Rabba Reshe, Rabba nodded his head, and he seemingly agreed to Rav Sheshes that we're going with the opinion of Rameir. Rav Yosef comes like Rameir, and Rav Yosef says, what? Trey, Gabi, Ravri, two tremendous Ga'inim, Rav Sheshes and Rabba, Liti by Milsa, Trey, Gabi, Ravi, Kirabana, Liti by Milsa, they made a mistake in this matter. If the whole reason you can't carry is the opinion of Rameir, that inside there's one Jew and guy, why do we need the Jew and the outside? What was the case? The inside courtyard had a guy and Jew. The outside courtyard had Jew. Why do you need that outside courtyard? According to Rameir, the reason you can't carry just because the inside courtyard. Maybe you'll tell me that was just a story. What do you mean? They asked the same question from Rab. What is the status of just the inside one? If the isolated inside courtyard, just one guy, one Jew, then he responded, it's mutter. So we see it's not like Rameir. Because according to Rameir, if it's one Jew and one guy, it's aser. Velamai says Gemara, fine, I'll fold. You're correct. Rav and Yaakov must be like the opinion of Lazim and Yaakov who argues on Rameir. What do you mean? Lazim and Yaakov says that it's only aser when there are two Jews that make each other aser. Over here, there's not two Jews. There's only one Jew, one guy, and one other Jew. Says the Gemara, fine. Ella Rav Akiva, a new opinion, the opinion of Rav Akiva, opinion that we've seen. Opinion of Rav Akiva, that whenever we have one courtyard and that you have to go through the other courtyard, the drisas regel, the walking through the other courtyard, makes you view it, as if it's one big courtyard, and therefore says Rav Akiva, since the inside courtyard has to walk through the outside courtyard, therefore you're going to ask the other guy to carry unless you join together both courtyards in one Erev. And since in this case they did not, that's the reason why you can't carry the opinion of Rav Akiva, not Rameir. Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, I'm sorry, says the Gemara, so Lamali Nachri, Very good. According to Rav Akiva, it's because you walk through the other courtyard. So why do you need a guy in this case? Afili Yisrael Nami. Rav Akiva's reasoning has nothing to do with the fact that it's a guy. It has to do with the fact that you have one courtyard, you have a second courtyard, you have to walk through it. Therefore, you consider one. Therefore, you have to make an Erev together, and you didn't. So why is it even a guy? It should be a Jew even. Amar Avuna Rav Yeshua, new pshat. So again, the first pshat was Rav Meir, we shot that down. The second pshat was Rav Akiva, we shot that down. Third pshat says the Gemara, La'ilam ki Rav Elazar ben Yaakov, u ki Rav Akiva, v'acham ha'eskinan. What's the case? Eruvin, that they made an ear of everyone together, and that's why you needed to have a guy. That's the reason why you have potentially two Jews, because you have these two courtyards that you walk through according to Rav Akiva. Now you have two Jews according to Elazar ben Yaakov. That's going to be the case why you're not going to be allowed to carry two to the guy. So it says the Gemara, the final maskana is the way that we can understand this case is fitting with Rav Elazar ben Yaakov, who says that when it's two Jews, that's when it's aser. According to Rav Akiva, who says that when one walks through the other rishos, we view it together. They made one big erev, therefore it's going to be forbidden. Why? Because there's a guy there, and we know the only way you can make an erev for the guy is if you rent the rishos from the guy, which we'll see again in a moment. So by Minei Rabbi Eliezer Meirav, another question. Smack in the middle of the Amid says the Gemara Yisrael v'nachri b'chitzayna v'Yisrael b'pnimis ma'u. Flip it around. Now you have the Jew and the guy in the outside courtyard, and the inside courtyard is the Jew. Ma'u, what's the din? Says the Gemara. Let's equate it to the last case. The reason why before it was aser is because it is common to live in such a situation when there is a Jew in the outside courtyard. Demirsas nachri, because then if there's a Jew and the guy in the inside courtyard, the guy is afraid to do anything to the Jew. Why? V'savar hashta asi Yisrael v'armali Yisrael to have a kabach eicha. Because since we always from the inside courtyard walk through the outside courtyard, that outside Jew is going to say to me, the guy, wait, where's your buddy the Jew? And I'm going to get caught if I hurt him. So therefore I'm not going to hurt him. Therefore it's a common case. And therefore it would make sense according to Elazar ben Yaakov and Rav Akiva that it would be forbidden. But in this case, which is the flip, in this case, the guy and the Jew are sitting in the outside courtyard. Therefore, there's no reason he has to answer up to the other guy. Amina lay, nothing gazalay. I'll just say that he left. He doesn't know my company. The inside guy doesn't know when we leave. So I'll just say the other Jew left. So maybe this case will be different. I don't know. Maybe, perhaps not. He'll still be afraid in this case. Israel. Maybe he'll always be afraid to harm the Jew because he's afraid at any moment the other guy is going to walk through the courtyard. So that was the question. Again, we have guy and Jew in an outside courtyard, one Jew in an inside courtyard. What is the halacha? Amrlei ten l'chacham v'yechkan. Give it to a wise man, to a chacham, and I'll be even smarter. That just like in the previous case, he makes it aser. So too over here, it's going to be the same thing. V'yechkam oid. Says the Gemara, Reish Lakish, the Talmidi, the Rav Chanina, Aklayla, who Pundik, they went to visit a certain inn, V'lave Sheicher, and they didn't have V'lave Sheicher. I'm sorry, the tenant was not there. The tenant who was a guy was not there, so they had an issue. And this is the classic case. You're in a Pundik, you're in a hotel, and there's a bunch of different renters, and one of the rooms is rented by a guy, and he's not there. We know the only way to make a shita, the only way to make a joint ownership over here, so that we could carry in the lobby, that we could carry in the chutzner, is if we rent the rights from the guy, but the guy's not there. However, b'havi maschir, but the landlord, the maschir, he was there. So now we have a fundamental question: am I able to rent it from the landlord, or do I have to rent it from the tenant himself? Amri ma'u lemeger minei, can we rent it from the landlord? Says the Gemara, in the case when the landlord is not able to evict him, he doesn't have rights, he signed the contract, he can't throw him out, there's no question. Then certainly we cannot rent it from the landlord. What's the question? In a case where the landlord has the rights to throw out the tenant at any moment, let's say the rental contract ended, what's the halacha? Since the landlord could throw out the tenant, so maybe that's called he has rights in that area. So therefore we could rent the room from the landlord. Or perhaps maybe at the moment the landlord didn't throw him out, so he has no rights in that room. Says the Gemara, what should we do in this case? Again, we have an inn, a very classic case. There's a guy's room. We have to rent from the guy's not here. Are we allowed to rent from the landlord? Let's just do it. We're not sure the halacha, so let's rent it from the landlord, and then when we reach the chachamim in the south, we'll ask them if we did the right thing. Also, Shaili the Ravafis, they actually did that, and they went To Ravafis Amr Lehan Yafa Asisa Shechartem, you did the correct thing by renting it. A similar story, they went to a certain inn, Dasa Nachri, Mari Depondi B'Shabbat. But in this case, it was a little bit different, that on Shabbos, the owner of the inn came in. In the previous case, they did everything on Erev Shabbos. And that's when they said they did the right thing by renting it from the landlord. In this case, it happened on Shabbos itself. Amru, they said, can we rent it for him on Shabbos itself? Do we say Seicher Kima'arib Dami? Renting it is like making an Erev. Just like you have to make the Erev on Friday before Shabbos, so too we have to rent it on Friday. Or maybe no, that renting it is like Mavatal, nullifying Rishos. And we know, we've seen many times, Mavatal Rishos Afilu B'Shabbos. You could rent it even on Shabbos. So now we have a problem. In the previous case, they were allowed to rent it from the landlord. Now we have a different problem. It's on Shabbos itself. Can we rent it from him? Says the Gemara, Rav Chinam bar Yosef Amar, Nischar, rent it from him. Rav Asi Amar, Loy Nischar. So we have a machlekes. Amar Rav Chibar Abba, Nischar Chadivri Zakein, V'Nischar, you should rely on the words of the Zakein and rent it. Also, Shaila Rav Yechanan. So they went to ask Rav Yechanan, Amar Lahan, Rav Yechanan responded, Yafa, moving on to Zav Chavav and Aleph, Yafa Asisa Shesachartem. You did right. You did the right thing by renting from the even on Shabbos. Says the Gemara, and it's going to continue. We'll just read one more line. They ponder this case in Nardai. Rav Yechon really say this? Rav Yechon Seicher K'Mariv Dami. That Seicher is like making the Erev. My love, so what are you doing? You should be able to do it on Shabbos. Says the Gemara, We'll read this last line again tomorrow.